So, you know how sometimes you have this creative inspiration for something that makes no sense and seems completely bananas, and yet you feel compelled to do it, right? Divine creative inspiration. Well, there's something that somebody else had this divine creative inspiration to create, to bring forth into the world this spring, and I have also felt called to join her. It's called the Great Mother March, and it is a month-long pilgrimage starting in Asheville, North Carolina to Washington, D.C. to embody the spirit of peace, love, compassion, the divine feminine, Mother Earth, all of the good stuff. And I'm going to sit down with Whitney Freya, the founder of the Great Mother March, the person who had this divine inspiration for this amazing thing that I'll be joining, that many other people are going to be joining in. So let's learn all about it. Hi, Whitney. First off, thanks for joining me. And I'm so excited, A, that you got this divine inspiration for the Great Mother March and that you are helping to birth it to life and that I have committed to join you for the entire experience. For people who are like, what are you talking about? What are
What
we
is
talking about? What is this? What is this Great Mother March?
Yeah. So so thank you, Mallory, and thanks for, inviting me to do this and share with your audience. And I've been teaching, a little background. So I've been teaching art as a personal practice since 1996. Okay. So it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. And I went online in 2009. And what's funny is, I mean, there was just step-by-step photographs and things back then, like online programs. There weren't even videos, and I just love like comparing the technology. I think it's hysterical. So I've been teaching art for a long time, right? And my whole teaching is around life is meant to be lived as art, and that the painting practice can lead to pretty pictures, right? But first and foremost, for me, it's where we go to experience one, who we are as creators. So you get to know like what that inner critic is actually whispering in your brain, not only when you're painting, or the perfectionism or, the people that don't finish paintings because if they don't finish it, then no one can judge it, right? And anyway, so you learn a lot about yourself, and then you get into a dialogue with each painting, and whether messages come through like you see something in all the marks that you make, or you go there specifically to paint an image that has captured your attention or a symbol or something like that, and you get guidance to help you create the art that is your life in a way that lights you up. And so it's never been about the painting. It's like I remember when I pivoted to focus exclusively on painting in my art center in Nashville, because I was moving from a bigger house to a much smaller studio space. I chose painting because, and only because, that's where people had the most fear. And I really wanted people to overcome their fear of making their mark. And, I had done like mosaics and paper mache and even drawing classes. But those people that took all the other classes would still talk about the canvas, like, oh, I could never paint. But my painters weren't afraid to do anything else, right? So all that being said, and I opened my art center with zero art training because of this, like, I used to describe it as, voice from heaven, this is what I want you to do, was to open the art center where people could go to, create what they wanted at the canvas and then go out into the art that is their life and use what they learned to create the change they wanted. So in November 2024, when I was just sitting on the front porch with my man, drinking some mate, and thinking about going to Asheville that coming March. So last March 2025, I taught a workshop in Asheville. And I heard the way I hear things, which is our thoughts. So I'm claircognizant. And so any of you are claircognizant, it's when you get these ideas that seemingly came out of left field, these random thoughts. They're not random. Okay. So anyway, so this thought, it was like it was a voice. It's like a thought that's not your own, right? It has a different tone. And what I heard was women are marching from Asheville to the US Capitol. And I was like, literally took my breath away. I almost started crying. And I was just like, "Mm, okay, like so, like don't like immediately, right? Like, but you're not telling me this because you want me to do it, right? I mean, it was all that like within seconds, right? This knowing of like, oh my gosh, this is one of those of like the two or three that I've had in my life, which I'm eternally grateful that I followed, right? So it's also this like, oh, and then it was like it's all been preparing for this. Which look at me, I'm not crying. Normally when I say that, I start crying. So it's good. Like the container is holding the energy better. And so I did what I always suggest and offer to people when you get these big ideas, these dreams that want to be made visible, is to stay open. And so I said, I'm like, I'm open. I'm open. I'm open. I'm open. And it was about 2 weeks later that I committed to the Great Mother March. I had just read in Gene Keys the key that the shadow is half-heartedness and the gift is committedness. And the universe can't come in and support you until you're radically committed. I mean, if you're not sure that you're going to do the thing, then you're the boss, right?
Yes.
So that was early December 2024. And here we are in February 2026, and I'm packing. If I showed you the rest of the room, it's like packing cubes and Rubbermaids and shoes and packing tape, and
Yeah,
because I'm
because
driving
you're
to Asheville on
driving
Friday.
across country in
Yeah,
the next couple of days, right? To get to
yeah,
Asheville, North Carolina, where the march kicks off on March
exactly.
21st, right? 22nd?
March 21st. So, yes, so the Great Mother March is celebrating the kickoff on in the equinox window to symbolize a return to balance, the masculine and the feminine. The Great Mother was like, make me visible. And then she was like, it's going to take 32 days to get y'all's attention. It's like 32 days. So we're arriving in DC on Earth Day. And that just like happened. I'm like, we can't walk for months and months, but the mileage, it's aggressive. There's no pressure to walk the whole way every day. And so I, kind of expanded. I'm like, well, the 22nd to the 22nd sounds like a month. So we'll go with that. So it's 32 days. We are making love visible, just like Great Mother loves, fiercely, with lots of strength and conviction and unconditionally. And walking through rural North Carolina and Virginia with open arms and hearts and mutual respect, no matter who we encounter, just to literally make visible what is possible. We're showing up, engaging in the law of reciprocity. We're going to be showing up tired and hungry and whatever state of cleanliness, and we need food and shelter and all these things. And every community has been so incredible, including VDOT and the police and the sheriffs. It's been an incredible experience putting this together. It feels like this multi-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. And when the pieces click into place and I meet people that it feels like, we've been friends forever. Those of us on this frequency that understand that we need to begin to remember how powerful it is when we focus on what we want rather than what we don't. And I do believe there's space, of course, for like reactionary movements, protests and things like that. Absolutely. And there also is space for visionary movements that are looking ahead and embodying what's possible, what we desire to see in this world. And so that's what the Great Mother March is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to touch on something you said about this bringing forward this sort of embodiment of love. And I
Mhm.
know, you described how this divine inspiration came to you well more than a year ago, November 2024, right? And I know right now a lot of folks have been following the Buddhist monks marching from Texas to DC, right? And so it's not like we're not copying off of them, right? It's more
No,
that there
no.
are these things that are happening. There is a zeitgeist in humanity
where these things are sort of bubbling up concurrently in spots and groups and communities around the world. And there is this movement towards how do we create the change we want to see,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe there's many aspects to this, and I did have to look up the scientific term is multiple discoveries. You know, in science, they've often seen how major breakthroughs come through many different people at once that aren't, especially back in the day, weren't communicating very much, and so this is absolutely speaks to some sort of design that is going on beyond our sense of our human senses, and the monks are a part of it and blazing the trail so beautifully. Um, and, it feels like the divine masculine showing up, and then it will be the divine feminine, which we have lots of men participating and walking with us. It's not a gender thing. But I am grateful that they have made this visible. And I also think the other aspect is that the change we want in this world is not going to happen from the top down. I mean, it's literally why we are where we are because we've been looking for this savior. And we're the only ones, like we're this savior, right? It's inside of us. And so I do believe that the step by step, the on the ground, face to face is symbolic of how the change is going to happen with each person at a time, the people you live with, the neighbors in your neighborhood, your greater community. Like, this is how this starts. A different way of being and looking really hard, prioritizing what are our priorities. We've been a largely capitalistic, prioritized community. And I have nothing against that. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just that it's out of balance, you know? So this event is for all of us, it's a sacrifice financially, right? Like
Yeah.
I saw, am juggling all kinds of things to make this all happen. And I believe it's in alignment with my higher priorities, and I'm really delighting in the some different visions I have. Like I've always had the vision of when we leave a community, leaving like the shop owners and city hall people standing in the street watching us go and just looking at each other and being like, that was amazing. Like you know and then most recently I had this vision of walking into towns and people, because now we've got a lot more local volunteers, so if you're anywhere in the North Carolina, Virginia, like you can come and be a cheering station or bring water, because we are not using any plastic water bottles. Bring oatmeal cookies, like, and stand on the in the little areas. You'll see the support vehicles and support and cheer us on. And there's gonna be lots of hugging, It's just like I was just picturing coming in and hugging people like, oh my gosh, we're here. After, for me, I've been talking to some of these communities for a long time. And more of that, please. Like really being together. Because whenever we get together, and are face to face, not in a confrontational reactionary way, but we have so much more in common than we have differences. And there's so much more love in the world than there is anything else. I mean, you all could probably look out the window and scan your neighborhood, and there's probably just love happening all over the place. People taking care of their children and their pets and loving on their house. And, we're not a people of hate. So, in whatever way possible, this is going to spotlight that and hopefully disrupt some people's thoughts about what they can or can't do in whatever shape or form, and encourage you to follow the wild and crazy idea, because this is absolutely where we're going to source our next steps.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of like on the ground and participation, and you started to touch a little bit upon this, but for people who are like, okay, my interest is piqued. I'm curious about how to get involved because there's multiple ways that people could get involved, be supportive, be allies, right? You can literally join for all of the march, like I've decided to do, and I still have a lot of logistics to figure out, right? You could join for part of the march. You could have a sister march. Like I know we already have someone in Spain coordinating a sister march during this, right?
Yeah.
And this is the length of the famous Camino de Santiago in Spain, basically, right? It's like 500
Yeah.
miles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about the exact same. It's wild that that
Yeah.
happened as well.
And then we also have like social media support, helping coordinate us to sponsorships, just spreading the word about that this thing is happening, right? Like, let's talk through some of the logistics. How can people get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first step is probably go to greatmothermarch.com and watch the video and read through the homepage and register, share your email with us. Once you submit your email, there's also an opportunity to answer some questions a little more in depth. So you can indicate if you're willing to volunteer from your home, if you're interested in joining the march, if you have an idea. A lot of people are starting in Asheville for the first week or so. We have a layover day in Charlottesville, Virginia, and then it's like 9 days until we get to DC. Charlottesville is April 14th. And then, there are some really fun little towns along the way. We go up to Boone, North Carolina, up in the mountains, and then we go down into Todd and we go along the New River. We end up at the Peace Pentagon. We're going to do a big bonfire that night and a medicine walk in the morning and walk to Galax, Virginia, which she's like the woman there is the first person I talked to. So you can join the march for any amount of time. Besides walking, which you don't have to walk the whole way every day. We do have, so like a short day is, I think we have one 11-mile day maybe. And then there might be a 15 or two. And then there's like 20, 22, 24 miles. But there's going to be absolutely zero pressure to walk the whole way. I feel like people might walk the second half or the first half, right? It'll be like if you even get a ripple that your wall may be coming, stop and get in a support vehicle. The support vehicles are all coming as a result of people marching, and they're either getting a circle of friends or buddying up with people, or that's the other thing is you could come and join us for the whole march or part, but the whole march and be a support vehicle driver. Because there are people like Mallory who or know they're coming, and she's probably found a support vehicle driver, but we need people that are like, I will come and drive the car, and everyone can chip in for gas and be the support vehicle so that your overnight gear, anything but water and your protein bars or whatever, are in your car. So we're not carrying heavy packs or anything like on the Camino. And then these support vehicles will have pullouts along the way where they'll be there to restock or water, things like that. But we do need support vehicle drivers in order to enable more people to march. So that is fabulous. And then, yeah, if you're home, I mean, we need sponsors, and the sponsorship is an amazing opportunity because it's 32 days of visibility, not just one. So that's pretty incredible. Also, while we're walking, you can be just helping to spread the word. And again, the monks have, I mean, have made this so beautiful. Like everyone's reposting what the monks are doing. And, I'm not going to compare us to the monks, but at all. I love the monks, make me so happy. And yeah, it's incredible. And it's been a really beautiful mirror to learn from, right? And to visualize into. And, really more than anything, we want people when they go on the social media to see positive, life affirming events and expressions of love and our interconnectedness and the power of community, and showing up creatively. And making the great mother archetype, which is one that we all have access to, more visible. I mean, the sacred divine feminine, this creative Shakti that all of us here are so passionate about, is the frequency of change. And it only knows abundance and possibility. There's no scarcity. There's no need to have or feel greed or jealousy or hoarding or like any of these things, because creativity is boundless and infinite. And this is what the Great Mother embodies. It's also holistic. it takes into account the whole. Um, and with each step we've got on our website now on the donation page like some wish list items. So you could sponsor our messenger canvas tote bags that we're going to pick up garbage and put in these tote bags so that when we get to the end, if we have to put them in a plastic garbage bag, it will be all in just one plastic garbage bag instead of, everyone carrying a plastic bag. But we're picking up garbage along the way. We are blessing the waters along the way. We are starting each day with meditations, deep mindfulness. Um, I mean, my latest book is 30 Days to Unstoppable. Like, be careful what you write about.
Yes, yes. Be careful what you
Like
call it.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be magical. So there's a lot of, reverence and devotion that we're walking with. And so please get involved. Like once you submit the email, you'll get an automatic email. We have weekly Zooms twice a week, Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And those are really the Thursday Zoom is I lead that one, and it's kind of the people that show up. Do you have questions or are you here to volunteer? And it can be kind of a working Zoom, a Q&A Zoom. The one on Sunday nights is specific to Asheville and the Asheville event and moving out from Asheville. There are posters you can download on the media page, just 8.5 by 11, send it to your copy center, get a couple dozen, give them to friends, post them around town, anywhere you live. Because again, people could organize sister marches, which could look like one day on, say, the equinox or on the 21st. It could be on Earth Day as well. I think it'd be fun on Equinox because then it tunes everybody in and they can watch, the march will be as informative and bring you into the march as much as possible. But you can organize that wherever you are. And it could be just a hike through nature and just really send gratitude to Mother Earth and do a hike together and then, end up at a potluck or something. It could be, walking from a point to your state capital or, anything like that to, again, just make the feminine visible. And since we're in a 1 year, we are really emphasizing the vision of being at the 9 year. And potentially there will be a Great Mother March every other year along the same route. And it'll be like this check-in, like, how are we doing? And some of this, Mallory, and I know I'm like firing off all this information, but some of the messaging I'm getting as well is really encouraging women specifically to show up with their inner authority, like anchored in to that inner authority. I know I spent a lot of time in my life not moving from my inner authority.
Same. Same.
It's easy to be influenced by the perception that, oh, you're doing these good things in the world and, blah, 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 but it's not really as important as the people making the money and, doing the real work and working hard and serious. And so I back down a lot. I let other people's convictions be more important or more influential than my own. And that has to stop with each of us individually. And of course, Great Mother is such a perfect model because the authority doesn't come as a power over. It comes from that place of unconditional love and compassion. And when you tap into the Great Mother, Mother Earth, you feel the sense of urgency, right? It's like, enough, go to your room. Like it is like there's no more nice mommy, right? I mean, as far as like, I used to tell my kids that, like, do you want mean mommy? Do you want upset mommy? Because like, if I have to ask you one more time, right, it's going to be the version that is a little more fierce. So really so just even going into our own inner world and getting curious about where are we not allowing our feminine authority to really define our day-to-day lives, and where do you need to step up? Like I had someone in my shift network course that I'm teaching comment about how her husband, maybe her husband and her child, looked at her painting, which is, like these playful first layers, and we're kind of like, what? Da 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 da. And she was just like, this is about expression. This is about meditation. This is getting to know myself. This isn't product. So back off,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah. And I cheered her on, and I'm so grateful because that's how we learn.
Mhm.
Feminine is the birther of new life. We are the creatrix energy in the universe. And it is through us that the change is going to happen. And the men too. But like if the women can't harness and really hone this feminine energy, like what hope is there for the men? Right. And of course, like I've met so many amazing men already on this march. Like some of us are going to be camping in the head of the Chamber of Commerce in Fauquier County's backyard. He's like, you can sleep in my backyard. It's really beautiful. And that's really what is meant to happen. Like the masculine is meant to come alongside the feminine, just like for each of us. And I know as a creative entrepreneur, right? It's like you get the download, you get the inspiration. That's the feminine. And then you let your masculine know, like we need a sales page, we need we need links, we need a series of emails. Like that's the masculine. The masculine is not telling me like, oh, you should do this, and like it's the feminine first. It's that inspiration first, and then the masculine creates the structure and makes it all available, right? So yeah, so just go to greatmothermarch.com and share your email.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that covers it, right? Like if you're interested, go to greatmothermarch.com, follow along on Instagram. There's a Facebook group, there's a YouTube channel, right? Like learn
Yeah,
the things, figure out what you feel called to get involved with.
yeah. And the Facebook group is going to be a bigger and bigger resource too, as people, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. Like, go on Facebook, do a live, introduce yourself, or post a picture and introduce yourself and share. Like, I don't know, I really want to do this, but here's what I need to understand or whatever. Like, there are people there that know answers. I mean, like, Mallory's already like, if she wasn't traveling so much, I could loop her in as part of our Great Mother March hotline that we've been fantasizing about. But that's where the community seems to be really organizing. And if you don't do Facebook, totally understand. Come to the Zooms or watch them on the website, and then just shoot us an email.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm so excited. Like I said, I'm planning to go. I don't have all my logistics figured out, but I'm gonna surrender to the universe and know that everything's gonna be okay because it is. So come through, y'all. Come through. Thank you so much, Whitney.
You're welcome, Mallory. Thank you for organizing this, and it's lovely to get an opportunity to share. So I am very grateful.